Hello everyone, Chris G, and again I'm coming to you guys live from Kennedy Meadows Resort. This is what Guthooks calls North Kennedy Meadows. It's at a mile 1017, and we're coming to you to talk to you about Section H. This is video 2. Section H is 175 miles. It's from Crabtree Meadows, where you go up Mount Whitney, all the way to Loomy Meadows in Yosemite. And for this video, Section 2, we're going to start on day 52 of my trail journal. And this was the day, it was a really early wake-up call. Our group decided to be walking at 4 a.m. on the trail. So you get up, it's pitch dark, you make your breakfast, and we were literally walking at 4 a.m. on the trail up to a pass in this area that's called Mather Pass. And it's a pretty infamous pass, and from what I understand, you're reading Guthooks, it says that the south side of it kind of makes people a little nervous and fearful because it looks basically like a rock scramble on the south side. But the good news for us was we were early in May, so you couldn't really see any of the rocks. It was pure snow. But the bad news for us was it was early in May and it was pure snow. We get up and we start walking, and this is the first time on the trip where it's dark in the morning and we are still post-holing. Usually when you wake up, the snow is hard and you can walk over top of it and you're avoiding post-holing, but we were still post-holing. I ended up post-holing into a creek and my shoelaces actually froze, and I had a hard time getting them off to put my spikes on to go up Mather Pass. So anyways, we walk up there and you go up to Mather Pass, and the south side, there's no trail. What had happened was people that had went before us had used their crampons and micro spikes and basically like cut little footprints into the snow, and they had made a few set of switchbacks. I think it was like five or six switchbacks up to the trail, and then there was a few 100-yard snow traverse to a rock, and then another few 100-yard snow traverse where you're in your crampons and micro spikes with your ice axe, ready if you were to slip. It was really in the morning, so the snow was nice and hard. It was pretty ideal conditions for going over the pass. The weather was cooperating. But for me, this was the most mentally challenging pass because you were doing those long snow traverses where, the run out was serious. It was a high angle snow field. The risk was pretty high on Mather Pass. It was a really great accomplishment feeling when I got up there. We were all on top of Mather Pass. We all did it safely. Of course, I did it in a group with 3 other guys. The 3 other guys were Space Jam, Amanita, and Yoga Bay. Space Jam and Amanita also hiked the AT in 2017. They were just, right around me. I just never ran into them. But that was Mather Pass. And then from day 52, we go to day 53, which was another early 4 a.m. wake-up call. But day 53 was one of my favorite days. That was the day we were going over Muir Pass. Muir Pass has a long, gradual approach, and when you look at that long, gradual approach, you're going to think, well, there's going to be snowfields on both sides. And there was long, gradual snowfields on both sides. I think it was about 6 to 8 miles on the south side. And when we got up there, it's really nice. The gradual approach is a lot different from, say, the previous day on Mather Pass, where you're going basically straight up an incline like that. I really enjoyed Muir Pass. It was one of my favorite ones. We went up to where the hut is, and I got a little picture of how much snow was beside the hut. And some of you may have seen that picture. Just for reference, I'm 5'7", and the snow was over my head. So there's still at least 6 foot of snow up there. It was really nice. The views up there were amazing. So after that, we get to day 54. Day 54 was the first day when all the, famous passes they talk about, the PCT, were over. So the group I was hiking with decided to just, go our separate ways and do our own thing. And that day we went over a pass called Selden Pass, which Yogi's Handbook says that it's the easiest pass. And it was pretty easy, but like all the other passes, it was covered in snow on both sides. Once you got up there, you had to do some post-holing. Wasn't too sketchy. I got up there about 10 or 11 o'clock and ate lunch, and then went down the other side. And day 55, went down the other side on day 54, and I camped on the trail to VVR, which is Vermilion Valley Resort, which is at Lake Edison. And the next day, I was on the VVR trail, day 55, and I hiked to VVR. And VVR is a place that I was really lucky it was open because they had just opened 2 days before for their season, but it's a place that gets a bad rep from other hikers. I've seen them make videos, YouTube videos, where they bash it, but just let me say my opinion on a VVR. All the people there were extremely nice. They were extremely hiker friendly. I got there in May, and the only issue was in May the resupply boxes are more than double what they normally charge for them. Normally they charge $22 or $25 in like June, but in May they were charging, I think it was like $50 to $65. But there's something that they did to help me out with that. But just wanted to say, people say this stuff is too expensive. Their food was reasonably priced. It was really good. They had a guy there that, you know, cooked food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I think dinner was like 15 bucks, breakfast was like $10, and for dinner, like, they gave us some of the leftovers, so it was really nice. And what I was alluding to with the help on the box, I got a box sent there, and when I got there, they originally had wanted $50, but they have a big sign outside that said hikers can, you know, work for food or to get money off their tab. And so I went to the owner and I said, you know, $50 is kind of steep. Is there anything I can do around here to help out with my tab? And he was really nice about it, and I ended up staying an extra day and doing a 0 day, and they basically maybe do like half a day of chores. I think I stacked some firewood. I helped them set up a little camper beside the lake that they wanted to get set up, and then I helped them do some plumbing. And these guys were super nice about it. They fed me lunch and dinner that day for free, and they also helped me out with my tab on the resupply box. So I really have nothing but good things to say about VVR. But you have to realize that VVR runs on a generator. They're a seasonal business, and the road to go up there is very hard to get up there. So if their prices are a little inflated, I mean, it's for a reason. They're business. They have to make money. So I really like VVR. Stayed there almost 2 days. And after VVR, I woke up and headed to the next pass. You notice there's either 1 or 2 passes every day in the Sierras, and some of them are worse than others. The next pass was a pass called Silver Pass. And it was the first pass that, you know, it was of course covered in snow, but it was the first pass when I was going up there, like, the weather really hit. Like, it started snowing pretty bad. Got over the pass and the snow got so hard, like, I couldn't see anything. It was almost white, you know, it was light whiteout conditions, and luckily there was someone who had went through before me, and I found their footprints, and I just started going down the mountain so I could figure out where I was going. I was looking at my GPS. It was hard to see, but ended up getting down. It was, you know, it was pretty chilly up there with the snow, but everything was fine. Most of the first time weather had really hit when I was going over one of those major passes, and I'm really thankful and lucky that the big passes there was no weather that hit. And then after day 57, I went to camp at 892. That was a Silver Pass day. After Silver Pass, I camped on like a little island in the snow. That's the one thing about hammocking that I was really lucky about, is when you get really high elevation, there's no flat spots for tents. I mean, you say you're going to camp on rocks, but it's May, you're in the Sierras, you're at 10,000 feet. There's no flat, I mean, it's snow. And so I got really lucky because there were little islands with trees where there was no snow. The trees were blocking the snow, and I found a little spot for my hammock. It was really nice. Didn't get too chilly, and that was after Silver Pass. Day 58, I woke up, and that was the day that I was going to Mammoth so I could get a resupply. I know I got a box at VVR, but around this time is when hiker hunger kicked in. I had 5 days worth of food at VVR, and I was eating almost 2 days worth of food every day, just burning through my snacks, burning through my meals. And plus, I mean, everyone was just beat up. I was beat up, and I had to go to Mammoth via Mammoth Pass. I couldn't go to Red's Meadow because when I went through, Red's Meadow was closed, and also almost everything up there was closed. Either the snow, they weren't open because of the snow, or the roads weren't open. So I went to Mammoth via Horseshoe Trail, and I went down to an area where the area to park was actually closed, and so I had to walk out about half a mile to where the gate was, and ended up getting a ride into Mammoth from this nice couple, and they took me to a restaurant. And as soon as I'd sat down to eat lunch, it just started pouring rain, like the worst rain I've seen the entire trail. Really lucky I got in. That trail to go down to Mammoth was covered in snow. It wasn't marked at all. It was just GPS bushwhacking through the woods. And I was really glad to get to Mammoth, even though, you know, the weather wasn't that great. When I went to Mammoth, since the weather wasn't that nice. I walked down to the Mammoth RV Park. It's a really nice place for thru hikers. It's really well situated. It's a little pricey, but you can do laundry, you get access to their showers and restrooms, and they have a pool and jacuzzi if you like that kind of thing. And it's a pretty short walk to the grocery store. Really like the Mammoth RV Park. I stayed in one of their little cabins. It was like $57 a night because it was raining, and they were selling camp spots for $30, but a lot of them were flooded, and the little bit of extra money was worth it to me. So I went to the store, got resupplied, and actually made a resupply box to send to Kennedy Meadows North, which ended up not being needed. Kennedy Meadows North has a great resupply. It's a little pricey, but if you send a box for Mammoth, mine was 14 pounds and it was $30, and then I had to pay $15 to pick it up. So that's the price offset. It's more than worth it to buy your stuff at Kennedy Meadows North. So coming out of Mammoth was a pretty interesting day. That night, I stayed an extra day, like I had said, after the RV park, and then I went to Davidson Street Hostel, which gives PCT hikers a $30 a night price, which is like a $10 or $15 discount. It's a really nice hostel in Mammoth. I really recommend checking it out. If you go there, they have, you know, a dorm with bunk beds, but then they have an awesome area to hang out on the second level where you're looking out over Mammoth. And what I did was I woke up, and the guy that runs the hostel would give you a ride back to the trail. And it was a really interesting ride back to the trail. We get almost back to the lake basin area, I think is what he call it. And the whole time we're following like 6 or 7 police cars. And it's really strange because the guy said he thinks that's all the police cars that are in Mammoth. And so they pull over, and then they get back on the road, and then they pull over again, and they all get out and they start walking around. And we think they're like hunting something like a mountain lion or something like that, is what the guy thinks. And so we're driving, and one guy, they're pulled over, we're driving